Thank you for joining us. I'm John Razimus. This episode is about the Montauk Project. You may have heard of the Montauk Project. You may have seen this little horse. You may know a few things about it. You might think it's the biggest conspiracy of all conspiracies. It's a very tall tale, no doubt about it. It's very outlandish, no doubt about it. But I have been familiar in researching this subject off and on for the past 17 years. Just to show you that I am familiar with the Montauk Project, let me show you just some of the books I've read thoroughly on the subject. Of course, we got the original one. I read this book back in 1997. I believe I ordered this at Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble didn't have it, and so I ordered it through them. And I believe I did the same thing with the second book, Adventures in Synchronicity. Same thing with the third book, Explorations in Consciousness. And I decided to get some of the offshoot books, Encounter in the Pleiades, an inside look at UFOs. Very interesting book. The Music of Time. As you can see, these 5 books were all co-written by Preston Nichols. Preston Nichols didn't write any books other than these 5. And so I stuck to these 5. I haven't branched out of these 5 because Preston Nichols is the source of the Montauk Project. But in this book, there are 2 books referenced. And so, like a good researcher that I am, I bought those 2 books. One of the books is a very good book called Lowell and Mars. It's a book about Percival Lowell, the guy who came to the discovery of the planet Pluto. He has an observatory up in northern Arizona. I've been to it, the Lowell Observatory. Very cool area. That's actually where I bought this book, at the Percival Lowell Observatory gift shop. Yeah, one of the things this guy discovered and is famous for is the canals on Mars. And maybe I'll do a separate episode on the canals of Mars. He had the most powerful telescope at the time. And so he saw Mars in a blurry, but he saw what he thought were vegetation, formation changes. Those Percival Lowell canals are mentioned in the Montauk Project. Very interesting subject. They've later been debunked, and we have crystal clear pictures of Mars now. But this book claims that it could have been a rare convergence or different timeline. Mars was inhabited. Anyways, another book mentioned in the Montauk Project is Alternative 3. Now, Alternative 3, I wouldn't say it's a banned book. I'd say that's hype to try to sell it. Because after reading Alternative 3, I came to the conclusion that the writing style is like reading a tabloid. It's like reading the National Enquirer. It's very corny. It claims that the Russians and the U.S. have a secret space organization where the Russians and the Americans are going to Mars in flying saucers, secretly behind everyone's back, snatching up the best researchers on Earth, taking them to a secret Martian facility. Alternative 3 also has a video associated with it. You can find it on YouTube. There's nothing banned and nothing secret about it. It's a fake news program. It's a fake science update. And they broadcasted it, and they banned it because people thought it was real. People thought it was real because it's science update, we landed on Mars and blah, 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 blah. People thought it was real, but it's very corny, very cheesy, very War of the Worlds spoof-ish, obviously inspired by War of the Worlds. I find this book to be complete and utter fiction. 100% complete and utter fiction. But I am a big fan of the Montauk Project. I found a list on the internet of Montauk Air Force Base veterans, and I emailed them all. There are about 15 of them, not too many. And I got 2 responses. One is from a sergeant, I believe, and one is from a commander. The very last commander of Montauk Air Force Base. The last commander of Camp Hero. I have the emails. I'm going to read them for you right now, and you judge for yourself. But these guys, they have nothing to gain, nothing to lose. These emails are from 2004. I emailed them myself, received the replies myself, got permission to use their names. So they're not hiding under an anonymity. They're not cowards. These are brave veterans who fought for the country, and they're speaking the truth. And this truth is not sensational. This truth isn't selling books. This truth isn't going on Coast to Coast AM. This truth isn't going to UFO conventions, getting paid to speak. This truth is just these retired individuals deciding to email me back out of the kindness of their heart, wanting to share the truth behind the matter, because they've heard the rumors about the time travel, they've heard the rumors about the mind control experiments, they've heard the rumors about all this and that. And in their own words, let me read to you what they said. These are the two responses I received from former employees of Camp Hero, also known as Montauk Air Force Station, also known as Montauk Air Force Base. Both have given permission to have their names and statements disclosed. The first to reply was James Darling. Previously, Sergeant Darling was stationed at Montauk Air Force Station from 1976 to 1981. Mr. Darling worked on radar repair and was a medic. This email is dated Thursday, September 30th, 2004. Hello, Raz. Well, as for me and all the mentioned rumors in your posts, no truth to any of them. I was stationed in the FPS 26 tower for 5 years. I was also a part-time medic. Never were any bizarre experiments undertaken, period. I will say many of the enlisted and commissioned personnel experimented with drugs on their own. Many got busted too. Pot, LSD, coke, booze, etc. I walked many 11 to 7 shifts and days off around the base, spent many hours, days exploring the bunkers, exploring the abandoned bunker complexes, many of which are cemented up today for true public safety, but when I was there, they were wide open. And they were just empty, damp, rat, snake, infested, boring, yeah, kinda spooky, but not sci-fi bullcrap. We were in an obsolete radar station in a Catch-22 situation. We couldn't close demob till TPS-45 site was operational in Southampton. We were open, closed, timetable pushed back again and again and again. I even sent my wife ahead home to Florida State, thinking we would be shut down in 1980. Not closing till early 1981. So outraged, I sent a detailed cost loss inciting massive waste keeping MAFS open letter of complaint to Gary Hart and Senator Proxmire in Armed Services Committee, getting a reprimand and dressing down for my passion. However, we closed about 9 months later. More if you want it. I am a true patriot. James L. Darling. The second email was sent to me by Miles Martin, now retired, formerly Commander Martin, the last commander at Montauk Air Force Station. Mr. Martin was stationed at the base from 1978 to 1981. This email is dated Friday, October 1st, 2004. I was the last commander at Montauk Air Force Station. You can use my name. I will address each of your questions. Question 1. There is or was an underground facility under the Camp Hero area? Answer. No, the only underground facility was associated with the old coastal artillery facilities, and these were not in use. Within the bunkers at ground level, we used one of them for storage and for emergency shelter. Question 2. Brainwashing, programming, or mind control experiments on humans and/or animals took place at Camp Hero. The answer, no. Question 3. Chemical warfare experiments on humans took place at Camp Hero. His answer, no. Question 4. Time travel research or experiments took place at Camp Hero. His response, no. Question 5. A man known as Preston Nichols claimed he worked on the base as an electrical engineer during the years of 1974 to 1983. His response, I was there from 78 to 81, and I don't remember anyone by that name. But it has been a long time, and I do not have a perfect memory. Question 6. A man known as Duncan Cameron claims he worked on the base in the 80s. His response, same as above. Question 7. During the later years of Montauk Air Force Station, he was operating under finances from an unknown source. His response, this is totally false. I made the budget. It all came from the Air Force Air Defense funds. And he closes by saying, Montauk is an interesting place with a lot of history. Too bad people who do not know the facts spread falsehoods. Miles Martin, Major, United States Air Force, retired. These true patriots who served and fought for the country, their words carry weight. They're not hiding anonymously, they're sharing their names open to the world. These emails are from 10 years ago, and they haven't had much light shed on them, which is why I wanted to release them. I'm going to be more inclined to listen to the words of these true patriots, these true veterans who fought for the country, served the country, as opposed to someone selling a book, going to a UFO convention. Now, I still respect the authors of this book. It's very entertaining, but I respect the words of the veterans who worked, who served, who were there firsthand, who have documentation proving they were there. And you judge for yourself. Just a tiny tidbit for the people who are watching this on the new Flying Unknown channel. I'm not going to be having this on the Hoax Center channel. This is exclusive for the Flying Unknown channel. I was on MontaukProject.com in 1999. I was a regular poster. And the most prominent poster on those forums, a few times, Preston B. Nichols himself posted. And he has very poor grammar. He said his keyboard was missing some keys. So he's not the best at typing. That's why Preston had Peter Moon edit for him. He's not the best at writing, but he's good at telling stories. I asked Preston Nichols a couple questions, and one of the questions was, what's up with the horse on the front of the book? I asked him specifically, what's up with the little clock dial in the belly of the horse? And Preston responded, and I'm going to have to find that exact response for you, but I'm just going to quote from memory. Preston said that the artist who drew this amazing drawing or painting, that they threw in a clock of their own artistic license. They took a little creative license and put that clock in there. He said the actual statue has no clock. So that's an interesting little tidbit for Montauk Project fans. The actual horse statue has no clock in the belly. And also a little bit of information. I heard that Preston has the base that he said he has located or found, or he has the base for the statue. So perhaps he's intending on building it. Perhaps he's intending on having it commissioned. I don't know how far this guy is willing to go to commit to his story, but he says there is going to be a statue and that he has the base to the statue. I could go on and on and on. Very interesting story, very far out. Hope to turn it into a movie. I heard a couple movie attempts that fell through. I heard even the movie starring Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I heard it was filmed out near Camp Hero, and that they intended on showing Camp Hero in the movie and trying to tie in with that movie why and where the technology came from to erase people's minds, memories, which is what Preston B. Nichols claims happened to him, that the government wiped his mind and he was able to get some memories back. But interestingly enough, that movie, they tried to get access to Montauk Air Force Base and that they were declined, and so they were never able to show the base. They showed the beach. It probably was only supposed to be in the movie for a few seconds, but interesting little factoid right there. The following is my take on the Montauk Project. The Montauk Project as a story and not as an actual secret project started in the mind of a man named Preston B. Nichols. This story has a humble beginning. Preston B. Nichols watches a lot of movies, particularly sci-fi movies. Who doesn't love a good science fiction movie? But I believe Preston B. Nichols watched the following movies, which I'm going to be showing you, and pieced these movies together to form the foundation of the story that became the Montauk Project. This was either consciously or subconsciously done, but it's clear the scenes in the Montauk Project book directly mirror and relate the scenes in these movies I'm about to show you. These movies all predate the first publication of the Montauk Project Experiments in Time, which was first released in 1992. These movies range from 1956 to 1990. I begin with the movie Forbidden Planet, 1956. A huge blockbuster at the time. A very famous movie. Any sci-fi movie enthusiast has seen this movie. And 1 hour and 25 minutes into this movie, it is revealed that the semi-invisible primitive beast was created by the alien supercomputer and the subconscious mind of Dr. Morbius, the human who plugged into the supercomputer. This is exactly mirrored in the Montauk Project book in Chapter 15, entitled Encounter with the Beast. To summarize, the Montauk Beast, also known as Junior, was a primitive beast created by the subconscious mind of Duncan Cameron, the psychic operator who was plugged into the alien supercomputer at Montauk Air Force Base. Yes, that's correct. The supercomputer at Montauk Air Force Base during these secret experiments was based on alien technology. The black budget operators of the Montauk Project supposedly got the technology for the computer, the supercomputer that they used in the experiment, from extraterrestrials. Both supercomputers run on unlimited free energy as well, and these two scenes are too similar not to be directly related. In addition to that, both subconscious beasts were uncontrollable. To summarize, both the movie and the book feature a scene with an alien supercomputer subconsciously created uncontrollable primitive beast. That's a mouthful. And I can't think of too many stories that have that. Next up is Superman 3, 1983. 1 hour and 45 minutes into the movie, you see a supercomputer. Richard Pryor's character attempts to turn off the supercomputer, and the supercomputer turns itself back on, and it powers itself from the local power lines. The scene which particularly reminds me of the Montauk Project is when Richard Pryor's character grabs an axe and begins to hack away at the supercomputer to save Superman from the kryptonite beam that is being projected from the supercomputer. Even this does not turn off the supercomputer. It continues to stay on, and Superman eventually defeats it, of course. But in Chapter 15, again, of the Montauk Project, Encounter with the Beast, there is a scene where Preston Nichols grabs an axe and cuts the power lines leading to the supercomputer, attempting to turn it off. It remains on, and then he uses the axe to hack away at the computer itself. This is exactly mirrored in the Montauk Project book. To summarize, both the movie and the book feature a supercomputer that will not turn off when you flip the switch, and a supercomputer that will not turn off when you grab an axe and hack away at it. Next up is the Philadelphia Experiment movie, 1984. This movie is mentioned in the Montauk books, so I don't need to go into detail, but Preston Nichols claims watching this movie triggered memories of the actual events surrounding the Philadelphia Experiment and the Montauk Project. Even though the Philadelphia Experiment never happened. I cover this extensively in a previous Hoax Hunter episode entitled The Philadelphia Experiment Uncovered, and I will put a link to this video in the description of this video. Preston Nichols also claims that the government has a way of releasing top secret information through movies, as a way to condition the masses to accept or perhaps dismiss top secret things for one reason or another. I've heard this from other New Age people. This isn't new information, but it's a conspiracy mindset where you can see where Preston's coming from. He's watching all these movies and he's looking for hidden secret messages in them, and sometimes there are hidden secret messages in movies, no doubt about it. But government conspiracies in every single movie, or a great deal of the Hollywood movies out there. That's a stretch, to put it mildly. And this is a mindset of someone who watched a lot of movies, pieced them together, and created a story known as the Montauk Project. Next up is Total Recall, 1990. 16 minutes and 10 seconds into this movie, we are introduced to the Total Recall chair. The star of this movie is plugged into the Total Recall chair, which leads him to a colony on Mars. Preston Nichols mentions this connection in the book, but claims it simply helped him remember the Montauk chair, as opposed to being the inspiration for the chair in the book. In the book, The Montauk Project Experiments in Time, the Montauk chair is used to open a portal to Mars. This is in Chapter 14, entitled Mission to Mars. Instead of a colony on Mars, in the Montauk Project, they go to the D&M Pyramid in Cydonia on Mars, which Preston claims was littered with Native American artifacts on the inside of this pyramid, and as well as having advanced alien lighting technology. Preston concludes Native Americans are Martians that came from Mars and somehow ended up on Earth. To summarize, getting a chair and finding yourself inside an ancient alien structure on the planet Mars are the similarities. The chairs function differently. The ancient alien structures are not identical, but Preston Nichols already admitted this movie inspired him to write the book by way of having him total recall the experiences of remembering his sci-fi past of having been on Mars. In summary, Preston Nichols is a sci-fi movie fan, a conspiracy fan, someone who thinks the government releases top-secret information in Hollywood movies for conditioning purposes, but the truth is less sensational. The truth is mundane. In this case, I believe the truth is Preston Nichols is a creative writer and storyteller, which leads to an interesting story, and that's all it is, an interesting story. If you claim you've been on Mars, it'd be nice if you had some evidence to back that up. That's where the government wiping your memory is a great excuse. And the Men in Black taking away all the evidence is a very convenient excuse, the excuse of all excuses. But I recommend, if you haven't read The Montauk Project, to check it out. It's a very easy book to read. I read it when I was a teenager, and I was very impressionable, so take it with a grain of salt. Not everything in here is true, but it's an interesting book nonetheless. I will end on this. This book, The Montauk Project, Experiments in Time, is dedicated to someone at the beginning. Let me take a look. Let's see what it looks like. The dedication says, "This book is dedicated to the memory of the crew of the USS Eldridge, and to those who gave their life at Montauk." Oh, that's a sad story. I'm almost shedding a tear here. Actually, I'm not, because no one died. Happy news, I can tell you if you fell for this, but no one died. Nobody died concerning any time travel experiments at Montauk or on the USS Eldridge. I thoroughly covered the USS Eldridge. I thoroughly covered the Philadelphia experiment in my previous video entitled The Philadelphia Experiment Uncovered. It's a Hoax Hunter episode, and I have a link to that video in the description of this video. Check it out. And I, without a doubt, concretely 100% prove, which other people have already proven, that the Philadelphia experiment never took place. I will summarize very briefly. The Philadelphia experiment was written by Carlos Allen, also known as Carlos Allende. He admitted he invented the story. He admitted it was a story to get people interested in Einstein's theory of relativity. He admitted whole thing's fake. The guy who wrote it back in the 60s. And so he's the one source. On top of that, he was inspired by the degaussing of the USS Eldridge. He didn't know what degaussing was. Most people don't. I didn't until I Wikipedia'd it. Degaussing was the unmagnifying of the ship so the ocean mines wouldn't be attracted to the ship. And it made the USS Eldridge invisible to the ocean mines, the water mines. And when this was explained to Carl Allen, he was like, oh, it makes the ship invisible, huh? Okay. And he went away with that and either misunderstood or... I believe he never misunderstood. I believe he knew what was going on when he researched it. He was just inspired by a ship becoming fully invisible. There was never any Tesla technology. There was never any Einstein technology. It was quite simply a demagnetizing of the USS Eldridge with ancient World War II degaussing equipment. And there was never any skeleton crew. All those stories have been thrown out. There is not a single credible witness, not a single piece of paper documentation proving any of that. Carl Allen admitted it was a total joke and hoax, but not a mean-spirited joke and hoax. Something to inspire people to actually create teleportation, invisibility, based on Einstein's theory of relativity. He was a huge fan of Einstein, as am I. And hopefully it did inspire people to try to pursue that technology. But it also inspired books like this one. Philadelphia Experiment, total hoax. It's already been busted. The Montauk Project, the foundation of this book is the Philadelphia Experiment, which has been proven to be untrue. It doesn't mean every fact in here is false, but it does mean the backbone of the 1943-1983 connection is. I would say even Back to the Future inspired this book. In Back to the Future, the connection wasn't 1943-1983. The connection was, as we know, 1985, 1955, 1885. And that's just another idea where this book was inspired from. So don't need to worry. No one gave their lives. I still have a great amount of information on this subject, from the characters involved to Camp Hero data I've collected over the years, and I will release this information in the future. For example, I did an extensive investigation back in 2004, and I came across some official government documents concerning Camp Hero, concerning Montauk Air Force Base. And it's nothing too sensational, but I believe it's worth making another video about, so I will release that in the future. Until then, I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with Hoax Hunter. Be seeing you.